You are working harder than you ever have before. You're putting in the hours. You're reading the books. And you're chasing the big idea that's supposed to finally change everything. But if you look at your bank account, the needle hasn't moved. In fact, it might be slipping backward. You feel like you're running on a treadmill that's slowly being tilted uphill. And the most frustrating part is that you can't see what's holding you back. It's not a lack of talent, it's not the economy, and it's not a lack of opportunity. The truth is much more uncomfortable. There is a quiet habit, a silent predator living in your daily routine that is actively draining your wealth while you sleep. Most people call it taking a break or going with the flow, but in reality, it is a glitch in your internal operating system. This glitch is the habit of inconsistent discipline. It's the invisible leak in your financial bucket that ensures no matter how much money you pour in, you will always end up thirsty. The reason most people stay broke isn't because they don't have a plan. It's because they don't have a rhythm. We live in a culture that worships the hustle, but we rarely talk about the cadence. You might have a massive burst of energy on Monday where you work 12 hours and feel like a world beater. But if you spend Tuesday and Wednesday recovering or waiting for the mood to strike again, you aren't building a business. You're just having a high-energy episode. This inconsistency is the most expensive mistake you can make. It creates a psychological lag where you are constantly spending energy just to get back to where you were before you stopped. Think of it like a plane taking off. It requires an immense amount of fuel to get off the runway and reach cruising altitude. But if the pilot decides to shut off the engines every 20 minutes to relax, the plane never stays in the air. It crashes, uses up all its fuel, and never reaches the destination. That is exactly what you are doing to your finances. Every time you let your habits slip for a few days, we have been sold a lie about how success works. We are told that we need motivation to get things done. We wait for that spark, that feeling of inspiration that makes us want to conquer the world. But here is the cold, hard truth that the wealthy understand and the broke ignore. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It is a chemical hit in your brain that is completely dependent on how well you slept, what you ate, or what the weather looks like outside. If your bank account depends on your motivation, you are financially unstable by definition. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the engine. When the new car smell of a project wears off and the reality of the grind sets in, motivation will abandon you every single time. It will tell you that you deserve a day off, that you can skip that one task, or that tomorrow is a better time to start. Discipline, however, is the cold, calculated decision to do the work because it needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. It is the ability to operate when the tank is empty. If you want to stop the drain on your bank account, you have to stop being a slave to your moods and start being a master of your movements. This brings us to the concept of small daily leakage. This is the aha moment that changes how you view every minute of your day. Imagine a massive water tower. If there is a giant hole in the side, it's obvious you fix it immediately. But if there are 10,000 microscopic pinholes, the water level drops so slowly that you don't notice until the tower is empty. In your life, these pinholes are the undisciplined micro-habits. It's the extra 30 minutes of scrolling that could have been spent on a high-value task. It's the small impulse purchase because you had a stressful day. It's the decision to snooze the alarm just once. Individually, these seem harmless, but collectively, they create a state of permanent financial leakage. You are working for your money, but your lack of discipline is working against it. Until you plug those holes, you will never be able to build a reservoir of wealth. To understand why your bank account isn't growing, you have to look at the math of your life through the lens of the compounding effect. We usually hear about compounding in the context of investing. Put money in, wait 30 years, and watch it explode. But compounding is a double-edged sword. It works just as powerfully for your failures as it does for your successes. Every time you skip a task, every time you let a small discipline slip, you aren't just losing that moment. You are paying a poverty tax that compounds over time. Think about it. If you improve by just 1% every day, you are 37 times better by the end of the year. But if you allow yourself to slide by 1%, you nearly hit zero. These tiny discipline gaps are the reason people wake up at 40 or 50 years old wondering where the time and money went. It didn't disappear in one giant catastrophe. It leaked out through a decade of it doesn't matter just this once. In the US market, where competition is hyper-aggressive, just this once is the fastest way to become irrelevant. This is where the psychological shift happens. You have to stop looking at your habits as goals and start seeing them as identity level shifts. A goal is something you try to reach. An identity is who you are. People who are trying to save money are always tempted by a sale. People who are investors don't even see the sale as an option because it doesn't fit their identity. When your discipline is tied to your identity, it becomes non-negotiable. You don't wake up and ask yourself, "Do I feel like working today?" any more than you wake up and ask, "Do I feel like breathing today?" You do it because it's a functional requirement of your existence. This is the hallmark of the wealthy. They have automated their discipline so thoroughly that they don't use up any mental energy making decisions. While you are debating whether or not to hit the gym or make that sales call, they have already finished it. They aren't stronger than you. They just have better defaults. Building these non-negotiable habits requires you to stop negotiating with the weaker version of yourself. We all have that voice in our head, the one that's tired, hungry, or bored. That voice is a master negotiator. It will give you 1,000 logical reasons why you should take a break. If you engage with that voice, you've already lost. The secret to stopping the drain on your bank account is to realize that you are the boss, and that voice is just a disgruntled employee. You don't take advice from the person trying to sink the ship. You set the rules when you are in a high state of clarity, and you follow them when you are in a low state of fatigue. This is how you build a fortress around your time and your money. You decide that certain actions like tracking every dollar, waking up at a specific time, or producing a specific amount of work are as mandatory as paying your taxes. When you shift from motivation-based action to identity-based discipline, the small daily leakage starts to dry up. You begin to notice the moments where you used to trade your future wealth for a temporary hit of dopamine. You see the social media scroll for what it really is, a theft of your most valuable asset. You see the impulse buy not as a treat, but as a brick being removed from the foundation of your dream home. In the U.S., we are constantly bombarded with messages telling us to treat ourselves and live for today. But the people who actually own the world are the ones who have the discipline to live for tomorrow. They understand that true freedom isn't the ability to do whatever you want in the moment. It's the power to control yourself so that you can eventually have everything you've ever wanted. By plugging these leaks now, you aren't just saving money, you are reclaiming your destiny. You are moving from a state of financial defense, where you're just trying to survive the leaks, to a state of financial offense, where every action you take is a calculated step toward massive growth. Now that you understand the quiet habit that's been sabotaging your success, you need a way to kill it. You can't just try harder. You need a system that overrides your biology. This is where the 30-day discipline structure comes in. For the next month, you are going to treat your life like a high-performance laboratory. The first 10 days are about the audit. You aren't changing everything yet. You are simply tracking every single micro-leak. Every time you pick up your phone when you should be working, every time you spend money on something that doesn't provide a return, and every time you negotiate with your alarm clock, write it down. In the US, we call this extreme ownership. You cannot fix what you refuse to acknowledge. By day 10, the sheer weight of your recorded inconsistencies will give you the disgust necessary to fuel real change. Days 11 through 20 are about the non-negotiables. You pick 3 and only 3 tasks that must happen every single day, no matter what. These are your anchor habits. If the world is ending, if you're sick, if you're traveling, these 3 things get done. This phase isn't about being perfect. It's about being relentless. You are proving to your brain that you are no longer a person who tries, but a person who executes. By day 20, you'll notice a strange shift. The friction starts to disappear. What used to feel like a massive effort now feels like a standard operating procedure. You are plugging the leaks in real time, and for the first time in a long time, the water level in your financial bucket is actually starting to rise. The final 10 days are about the compound acceleration. This is where you take the energy you saved from being disciplined and pour it back into your high-leverage work. You'll find that because you aren't wasting mental power on small daily leaks, you have a massive surplus of focus. This is when the bank account starts to reflect the change. You'll see opportunities you were too distracted to notice before. You'll make decisions with a clarity that your competitors simply don't have. By the end of these 30 days, you won't just have more money. You'll have a different soul. You'll realize that discipline is destiny. Your future isn't some mysterious, far-off event. It is the direct, trailing result of the choices you made this morning. The quiet habit is dead, and in its place is a machine that builds wealth by default. Stop waiting for the right feeling. Start the clock. Your 30 days begin now.